He has a 1-1 count. That one's struck high. Left side. That one's going. That's out of here off the ropes. You have got to be kidding me. Fireworks. Here you go. And welcome one, welcome all inside more of High and Tight, the flagship show, part of the Iowa Baseball Network that covers all things with the baseball from high school, college, and the professional ranks. And we go all over, again, always with an Iowa twist. Happy to be here again. I am Andrew Brown, helping to give you another cool conversation. And there is a lot to like about what we're going to be talking about. But first, again, got to give a shout out to a lot of the content that's going on here that you could have already seen. But of course, this past week we released our can't miss content, and your chance to catch up on a whole lot of it and get ready and prep for what the season will be. Just head on over to rockfin.com/iabaseball. There's some free stuff as well as some stuff that if you could get signed up, help us with our work as we go ahead and highlight the players, coaches, and athletes, and of course the umpires that make this game possible. That would be greatly appreciated. And of course, any conversations you want to talk about, anything that's coming up there, we really appreciate the interview shout outs, and we definitely are looking to get forward to a lot of those. For right now, though, again, a very cool conversation because as we get ready, coming on up in the not so distant future is the Strike Out the Stigma event. It is a phenomenal event, and we are one that we love to be there each and every time out. We appreciate Nikki Fries and company who make it possible. Again, here is the event here again, May 12th. Again, there's the rundown of everything that you can expect coming out of this event here from 4 p.m. all the way to 6:15 and beyond. And head on to strikeoutthestigmaiowa.com for just more information on the event, how you can be a part of it, and other things that you can do regarding this event as well. So make sure to check out at Prospect Meadows, Strike Out the Stigma, Iowa 2025. And speaking of that, as you could see on there, I'll bring it back. I'll bring it back for you to take a look at here again. Every single year, Nikki Fries and company do a fantastic job of getting really great speakers into the mix and people that make an impact. It's not somebody that's talking out on the radio somewhere, just saying stuff. These are people who have made actionable steps to doing things. Of course, we've had Ben Zobrist on, Mr. Blythe a couple years ago as well, and guys that have made actionable steps. And this year you're going to get just that, and maybe a little bit more. We always say with an Iowa twist, and there's going to be an Iowa twist here as well. From the Athlete Health is Gabe Rummel. He'll be joining us here in just a matter of seconds. And we're graced to be able to have that kind of a conversation with somebody who knows the game and just knows athletics and the mind back and forward. So again, making that connection is kind of where we're at here. But again, let's not dawdle any further. Let's get to it. Our conversation here, as we have brought to you in part by the great folks at Insulites. And, of course, RDA Financial helping to bring this together. The one and only Gabe Rummel here from the Athletes Health joining us right now on the hotline. And, of course, Gabe, I want to say appreciate you coming along, man. This means the world, having someone with your expertise joining on for such a great event. So, one, thanks for the event, but two, thanks for coming to the show.
Yeah, man, Andrew. I mean, I'm excited to do this, excited for next week, so it should be good.
One thing I got to say, though, is your connection to Iowa, first and foremost, because we love having other guys come in here. We love all the speakers that have been there. We do it all over again for sure. But one thing I really appreciate here, what Nikki and company have done is bring in someone who knows Iowa and especially knows Iowa as well as you do, because every state is a little different. Every state has its different athletes and all that stuff. But Really, really appreciate that you come from the Iowa side of things. And again, what you do, we'll get into that here just a bit, but I mean, it's really good to have that Iowa connection here. How important have you kept that Iowa connection throughout your time from when you got out of Iowa State to where you are now? How important has that Iowa connection been to you in your professional career?
Yeah, it is actually pretty motivating, Andrew, because
Yeah.
my whole thing once I was graduating was I wanted to come back to the local community because they didn't have one of those things, at least from everything I researched. And so I knew that's where I kind of wanted to start. You know, you can hear all the people online and all the elevator pitches online, like, hey, just get
Yeah.
that online business going and stuff. And, you know, I've dabbled in it, but it always comes back to getting it local and then growing it from there. I
Hmm.
have family that moved out to Colorado and stuff. I've worked with them, so I know I have connections in other state lines, but
Yeah.
it's always it's that root. So that's why I strike out the stigma, and this right here is pretty cool.
Well, and what's really cool is when we talk about something like this, mental health, there's a lot of people who talk a lot, but don't, there's no rubber meeting the road, so to speak. And it's just a field where there's a lot of people that can be the keyboard warrior, but you have actionable things. And again, for everybody out there, it is, if you go to the website, man, the Athlete's Health online. First off, I want to, before I get any further, let me not jump ahead of things here, Gabe. What is the Athlete's Health? Let's dive into that just a little bit and what that is, because I find it unique and something that's refreshing in a time where it seems like you can't get unique. But kind of talk to us about the Athlete's Health and one, what is it all about?
So the Athlete's Health is a mental gym. I call it the Phronoic Gym. It
Okay,
comes
yeah,
from a couple different Greek origins there, but that way it's also our very own. There's not another. You Google Phronoic Gym, it's what we do. It's our
yeah,
training gym, and it's like you said, it's supposed to be actionable, applicable, super easy exercises, mental exercises that
hmm,
you can put on top of what you're already doing physically. Because I
yeah,
knew doing sports and everything my own self, going through, you know, you're pretty busy. And one thing with like counseling and everything else is you go, I always was told or heard that it's
hmm,
long sessions and there's that stigma behind it, but you also don't always need the counseling per se. It's like you got other coaches in baseball, you got your pitching coach, you got your hitting coach. You
yeah,
get hurt, you go to a doctor, PT. On the mental side, you get hurt, you go to a counselor,
mhm,
psychiatrist. But there's not much of that coaching. And
yeah.
so that's really what the athlete's health is distilling into be in our Phrenomic gym to get those mental exercises so you can just add these on to what you're already doing. So it's not any additional work. It's just adding on to it.
And that, I love how that's phrased. And again, the fact of it, it does seem like it's, you can do it at your own pace. It can be unique to you while still being part of a community. Was that kind of the, I mean, I assume that was the goal in mind, because it does seem like you can put your own flair, but you can have that assistance there. And boy, what better way as an athlete? You talked about it being busy. What better way as an athlete to have something that you can control your time with?
Oh yeah. No, exactly. And I mean that's kind of the whole thing because team by team, and I know we'll go in my background here, but I full on really kind of started this start 2024.
Mhm.
And so half that time it was me figuring out how to do business and everything else,
Yeah.
you know, because I was trying to do some other businesses in college, in
Uh-huh.
the health space, but this was what I always wanted to do. Um, Half that time was just spent figuring out, having some really good coaches, programs,
Mhm.
parents who took the leap with me to kind of test it out sometimes in the past year. And
Yeah.
then now distilling it, this baseball season, softball season's coming up, and a lot of teams, from sixth grade, fifth grade, all the way up to the high school, are starting to hit me up there as they're seeing it
Yeah.
because it's dependent on what the team or the individual athlete needs to work on. Just like some are going to be quicker,
Mhm.
some are going to be more powerhouse hitters. Some, you know, they all got their individual. isolation thing that they're good at and think they
Yeah.
maybe want to work on, strengthen a little more, the mechanics behind it.
Yep.
And so it is very individualized for what they need. And so that's why I like doing it, how I'm doing it, and helping them out.
Oh man, and it's such a again such a great fit as you mentioned for the athlete. And before we get into your history within that here as well, or continuing upon that, I did want to, from the 10,000 foot view, get your take. This is something that I feel if we could go back 10, 20 years in time and still have this, man, what a big impact it'd be. And it makes me wonder, well, what could life be like right now? Would we have as a collective society a little bit less stress and a little less anxiety? But I did want to ask you right now, in terms of where we are with the conversation on mental health. From your, as you have seen it, as you have crossed it, you have talked about it a number of times. Are we? Is the conversation tuned in the right direction when it comes to mental health now, or is it getting there? I should say, uh, because you did mention it not too long ago. It was sort of taboo to talk about mental health. Why would you talk about that? It means sign of weakness. But do you feel like that needle has changed for the good, and do we still have room to grow in that aspect?
Well, for good and bad, one of the
Yep.
things I always live by, I think Steve Jobs said it, is you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everything has happened for a reason, and I do live by that. But 20, 30 years ago, sports psychology started to be a thing, but no one knew about it. It was only here and there. Some professors were really implementing it, and that progressed into certain people in the pros were using it some. Maybe it wasn't called that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's had its whole progression. We'll go on that too.
Yeah.
But as for now, uh, I it's since COVID is when I really saw, and we'll go into that with I knew some people who tried to take their own lives, and
Mm-hmm.
COVID spiked the mental health area.
Yep.
And for me, I always was a pretty hard worker, anyone would say. I was never anything special, JV squad trying to make varsity.
Yeah.
But um you can work behind it and you can have certain things, certain exercises that can help get out of those mental ruts, mental challenges. And
Mhm.
so I've always kind of talked about this stuff, but there always has been that stigma. But I once again think it goes back to how it's positioned, how it's
Mhm.
shown to people. It really can be trained like a muscle
Yep.
and work that way. And yes, if you get hurt or you're mentally ill, then I don't come into there. That's not me. I have counselors and
Yep.
psychologists I refer people to.
Yep.
But if there's a whole nother ballgame to it where it's like, all right, we're just a little off,
Yep.
confidence is lacking, and you don't want to go, you don't want the stigma or go see a counselor or whatever the case is,
Hmm.
that there's a whole nother side to it. And
Yeah.
so there shouldn't be, I don't think there should be stigma around any of it. And I think
Yep.
with what we're doing, it is starting to go away pretty. I think it
Yeah.
is going away. So that's cool.
And that's again phenomenal to hear, to see. Again, we're in a much more open society, and I love that part of it. And again, you have been a big part of that, especially around the area, and of course, again, crossing state lines as well. But I did want to get to kind of the history about here, Gabe. I also wanted to ask, when did you start to feel like, and I know you alluded to it there just a bit. When did you start to feel like this was your calling of all the things you could do, and then how did it lead you to coming up one with the idea, and then to where you are right now?
Yeah. We'll keep it quick because we can go in all the ebbs and flows of the whole story too. But
Yeah.
the little bird's eye view of how I say this is COVID year was so when COVID first started, it was my freshman year in college, right?
Okay.
And I was training for a marathon at that point, but I was starting to get a little slow, a little sick. Anytime I'd go to a doctor, I had to stop training. They'd say, "Oh, you might have COVID. You might have the vid." They'd do the swabs,
Yep.
and they just say, "Go home. We'll see if it gets better." But it was getting really bad. Telehealth that eventually. my heartbeat was getting down to like 15 beats per minute. I was starting to have terrible migraines. Uh, Meningitis was starting to pop up, and so the telehealth lady was like, "ER, don't leave till you're good." And they found out it was Lyme disease, and
Oh,
so long story short, I was in the hospital for a couple days. It's like a zombie the rest of the summer because some of my nerves shut down for a while. I couldn't move my side of my face.
oh man.
Uh, Heart attacks. Yeah, you name it. It was bad. Uh, but so I was physically ill, and I got out of it. I was good. Turned out
Uh,
I just have a big heart. It was a red herring because I got a congenital heart disease, but
uh,
um, I was good because like I
yeah.
knew all the kind of the stuff to try and help out get through it. But a couple
Yep.
couple months later, come home and I find some family friends, and I turn out they're having some mental illness. Okay, they're
Oh,
having those mental problems. Right, they are trying to take their own life. Some of them did, and so that was like going into 2020, and I'm in and out of the doctors just to get my heart checked out because it was a red herring. So I found out some other stuff.
uh-huh.
But at that point, I was like, all right, we need to figure something out. Like, I know we can do these things to try and help the mental side. I don't know how, but I'll figure it out. I was going to the school for this diet and exercise degree at Iowa State. It's a 5-year master's program. So I spent the rest of time in this neuroscience lab studying stress. It
Hmm.
was related to exercise and nutrition. It was so cool. My professor was great. He let me do whatever I wanted to do. And throughout the time there, I was just consuming a lot of entrepreneurship, business, psychology stuff.
Hmm.
Anytime I wasn't doing my dietetics or exercise science stuff, I was doing that. So I was personal training, yoga, doing all that.
Yep.
Uh, Started my own health coaching stuff. The Athlete's Health originally came to, it was like an LLC because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Back in
Yeah.
2022, it was like a blog at first, turned into health coaching and yoga. But the whole thing was like, because I saw Kobe Bryant and other people
Hmm.
would be how they trained, how they attacked certain things. That
Yep.
was their health. They were athletes and they had really good health. But then I was like, I want to help athletes specifically, young athletes. I don't know if I can, but I'm going to figure it out. So 2024, had some mentors, got through some business accelerators via Iowa State and their entrepreneurship program that
Hmm.
I was grateful enough to get into this past year. And then since this year, the rest is history. Been like I said, couple teams, couple coaches. Very grateful for because they took a just in college and just out of college kid up on, hey, I want to do these mental exercises with your team or with your player,
Hmm.
and I think it will help. Will add on to what you're doing, and sure enough, every team, every coach so far, and I got all like the records for it. I get all the testimonies, but they've liked it. So it's cool. I take the feedback, learn from it, and
Yeah.
just everything I teach and put it in my business and put it in my own stuff. So that's kind of long story short
Yeah.
of how it came about.
Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, Gabe Rummel of the Athletes Health joining us on the hotline here. And Gabe, as always, one of the things that we really I really have a lot of fun with is getting the chance to kind of dive into really the mindset behind a lot of it. And again, one of the things I love is talking about someone who knows mental health so much more than I do because it just kind of opens up. You just kind of talking about the mind with someone who knows the mind. It really is
Yeah.
it kind of opens up the conversation's always a little bit broad, oh, not broader, but has more meat on the bones, I should say. And so again, really fun there. I also got to ask though, with that, if people, we talk right now about when we hear mental health, and I guess I should say when people hear mental health, they go, all right, so someone's going through a huge struggle. Someone's going through obvious, notable struggle. Uh, and I think we can all look at it and go, well, that's not always going to be the case. But when it comes to it, how do how can you interact? Or I guess I should let me focus on saying, is it just I'm going to ask this. I'm kind of knowing the answer here, but it's not just for those who are obviously struggling, right? I mean, what I believe mental health is somewhat, I guess, harder to see. I'm going to ask your professional opinion on this. With that, it's I assume not obvious all the time. And how what do you look for when you look at somebody who is not showing the outward signs very obviously? I mean, how can someone look at it, or what can people do? But ultimately, what do you do as a professional to kind of say, hey, this athlete isn't in the right state. They're not doing the right things, or this person isn't there. I mean, how, because again,
Yeah,
in
what?
athletics, it's harder to kind of see.
Yeah, those sirens. Uh, I know from personal preference of some of like I said, you don't see them till it's too late, or
Yeah.
hopefully like they come to you and it's not too late. So that's like on the far extreme, right? And that's once again, if I see that right away, I'm telling someone because that's not. I don't deal. That's I can't do anything with that.
Yep.
Um, Best way I kind of phrase this is when I was super sick in the hospital. I remember this because it was terrible. I was
Mhm.
getting blood tests every 4 hours,
Oh.
right? Because they had to check, they had to see what was working. Middle of the night, come in, wake me up. The needle, I'm okay with needles, but it was getting tough. They had to do it in my back of my wrist because they couldn't do it in the arm anymore.
Uh,
Point is, that's a physical thing. They come in, they get the blood test, see what you're doing. Right, you're right. On the mental side, it's so invisible. I use the reference like a ghost. It's like a ghost, and
mhm.
sometimes it haunts you. Sometimes it is breathing down your neck, scaring you crazy. Other times it kind of takes a back seat and you forget it's there. This is if ghosts are real, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but the point is, you can't always see it. It's invisible, and it can get us
Mhm.
going, get us down. But I wanted to somehow, this was one of the first things I wanted to do, figure out a way to make this visible, figure
Yep.
out what people are going through, the trends, and
Mhm.
put it in a different perspective. I say clarity with like goals and what's holding you back,
Yep.
confidence, composure, handling pressure, right? These are different ways that we can analyze the mental side of what people are going through.
Yeah.
And so, like, if I work with people, we usually track these and then you can put
Okay.
it in a chart. So then, like you're saying, some days it's, you have your off days
Yeah.
that maybe your confidence is down when we meet, but we look back, well, these days the confidence was high. What were we doing then?
Okay. Yeah.
And we can see it. We can see the progress. We want to make it something visible that we can see. So that
Yep.
mental side is not invisible. And that's why we do these exercises. I call them mental exercises. So they're actionable things that we're actually doing so we can see the progress and it's not invisible anymore.
Wow.
So
I
that's why I
what?
make it
Yeah.
more obvious.
I love that answer. And again, it goes back to what we talked about earlier: actionable steps. And you just mentioned they're actionable steps. This isn't just talk. There's a whole lot there. And again,
And one more thing with that
yeah.
too, because how I usually, because you can't conceptualize, if people in like a psychology lab or neuroscience lab, they're analyzing brain, psychology is just going to analyze the thoughts of the brain. They take it, it's questionnaires. That's kind of how you can do it. So that's what
Yep.
we do. But so whenever I do a presentation, which I call like a workshop or
Mhm.
one-off training, or if I'm working with people over time, I try and always get their feedback on a form, not only to see like how we can do it better on our end
Mhm.
with the athlete's health, but to get their perspectives and then get some nuances, how they're feeling, how much should this increase your confidence, then you can see where they're at and you can constantly check that stuff so it is not as invisible.
Wow. I love that phrase because yeah, it truly is something that the mental side of the game doesn't give you that red flag or those sirens all the time. And again, I love how actionable steps. And again, ladies and gentlemen, at theathleteshealth.com, head there. A lot of resources right off the bat. I love how inviting it is. You see there, and Gabe, you're right there. You're so out there and so easy to reach. And one of the things that I like is right off the bat, it talks about really improving your confidence and confidence in the performance. I've seen a couple different things that mentioned confidence in your performance. I say that now, and everyone's, athletes can be like, yeah, I'm confident, but I don't know if too many people really truly get the confidence and how deep that goes. I mean, when you have gone through it and you've connected with athletes, you've connected with coaches, how important is mental confidence? I mean, I know you can be confident in your ability to swing the bat, right? And you're confident in your ability to throw, but it seems as though, and again, I've seen guys being able to touch up 95, all of a sudden can't find the strike zone for some reason. Basketball players who have nailed practice shots in practice get to a game and it's like they've never played before. So, how much have you run into that, and in terms of how important confidence is, and again, what you do with that confidence? How important is confidence in the grand scheme that athletes may not really fully understand?
Yeah, I think I recently was talking about this with a local mentor who is big in the PT world and
Hmm.
he works with a lot of athletes. So and he loves psychology, so he was breaking it down for me too as we were kind
Yeah.
of just talking about this. And he phrased it to me like this. He was like, "Look, everyone out there, they have some level of confidence, right? You get to the game, maybe it goes away, but you can probably look at someone on your team or in your conference who, no matter what happens at the plate, couple foul balls, whatever is happening, they
Hmm.
are always cool, calm, collected. They're forgetting about what happened. You don't see any
Yep.
change visibly on what they're doing.
Hmm.
That is confidence, and that is what people can strive for. Now, how you get there, there's different ways and there's different levels to it.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's pretty quick, so other times you gotta work through a couple other things.
Yeah.
But the confidence piece is huge, and
Yeah.
that flow state is something that people always relate to,
Yep.
that they talk about. And there's another saying in the kind of the sports psychology world where like you don't have to be in the flow state. If you're out of the flow state, you still got to perform and play at your best. So you have to be
Yep.
confident no matter where you're at in it. And so I think it's just, how do you get your confidence that you have in practice when there's no pressure, no eyes, to actually perform when it matters? And that's the huge piece in that confidence realm.
Yeah. Oh man. And again, I love bringing out the flow state because when people are when guys are in it, guys and gals, I should say, when
Yeah.
athletes are in it, it really you get some great performances out of that. And again, we as fans get to benefit from that. And I think too, when when I and this was a question that came by that I came about. I'm a big fan of like documentaries here, Gabe, and
Yeah.
especially sports documentaries. And one of the things I see oftentimes, and well, again with documentaries, there's drama, has to be right in the documentary. There's always going to be something like that, but they always get to a point where they say I kind of I whatever event's going on, they shoved it out of their mind. They put it out of their mind, and they just went out and did it. Um, I That kind of worries me in just a sense, and maybe I'm off base on this here, Gabe. But when I think about that, I think, man, there still is a problem there. But it just seems like it'll resurface again the more you kind of put it out of sight, out of mind, kind of thing. Um, when it comes to that, one is that healthy to do that? Is it? I know it can vary by person to person, but is it okay for someone to kind of block it out at least for a couple hours? And how would you advise an athlete again, whether they're going through the yips or going through something like that? How do you address it with them, whether in the season, right, in the midst of all the stuff? I know that it never comes at the best time. I don't know if there is a good time for mental struggles to come, but one, is it okay to kind of push it out of mind? And two, what are kind of the tips for athletes to be able to do once they're in game? Because I can only imagine panicking when you're having those kind of struggles. So again, what can athletes do, or what do you suggest? What do you kind of take athletes through when they're kind of struggling mid season?
All right. So to confirm one more time. We're kind of
Yeah.
talking about mid-season slumps,
Hmm.
and it sounded like maybe there's some outside just the game
Yeah.
stuff that's happening, and that might be affecting the game some. How
Right.
can we handle that
Right.
and keep going?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So how I would like if we were approaching this, like let's say
Uh-huh.
you are an athlete I'm working with or something,
Yep.
okay? Mid-season, you got
Yep.
some stuff going on outside of the game that is affecting the game. Probably the first thing I'm asking you, Andrew, is like when do you not have stuff going on outside the game that affects you?
Right.
You I know before this we were talking and you were saying I'm busy. I'm always busy.
Yeah.
I told
There's.
you I'm running around right now. I'm in this room.
Yeah.
There's always something going on no matter what. And so that's
Yep.
one of the reasons why uh on the website. Thanks for the appraisal on the website for the approval. That's cool. But I say
Absolutely.
it's for both sports and life
Yep.
because it really is. So
Yep.
we learn how to handle some of this stuff in the sport, the athletic world. It's going to tie right into life. With that said, um, I know a lot of people who have stuff going on, and I know like the school system. I know some of the families. It's a little tough sometimes
Yep.
to live by. And once again, that is not always my expertise to go in there. But what I can say is that I personally, from the professional athletes I know, I don't throw their name out here willy
Yep.
nilly, but like I was in the same class as Keegan and Chris Murray, so their
Yeah.
dad coached me during basketball season as well because he coached them. I've seen them go through it. I've seen them not get the offers, but then keep working and
Yep.
just keep climbing. Um, my fiance played Division 1 soccer and had their own struggles and the teams had struggles and great
Yep.
coaches. So I've talked to a lot of people about this and I personally believe you can have outside circumstances, but you have to block them out. When it's time to perform, there's always going to be something happening. And you have to learn how to block it out. Now,
Mm.
one thing that like in this scenario, like the first thing that came to mind, and this isn't even like an exercise I came up with. So I'll give credit to like Tim Grover, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, those guys, some of the originals. But there's this
Yep.
thing called the dark side,
Okay.
and you've probably heard of it. But a lot of people who I've talked to who are in the situation that you just kind of said
Hmm.
is that's fuel. They might not block it out. They might use it
Yep.
to keep going. Ray Lewis, um,
Yeah.
when he was going through his high school career, he was wrestling a lot as well as football. He did football his whole life. Wrestling, he picked it up in high school, and he didn't even know how. But his dad, who left him when he was a really little kid, was like the state champ, had a lot of the records, and that was his fuel the whole time.
Yep.
That was some big outside life pressure that for other people would have really sent him down the wrong path.
Yep.
But it's how you interpret it. And so that dark side is not always the best, but it's fuel to use it. You
Mm.
can't use it all the time, obviously. With that said, some other things that I would use in that circumstance is I forget the name of the exercise. I've in like my gym, I have like the list of exercise, the
Yep.
progressions throughout all of them, but I forget the name for this one. But I always say like you got something special. Everyone has something special. I call it yeah, like your art. It's like if I'm working with teams, like you're on a team and this is happening, I'm talking to your team. I'm having us figure out like what's your one special masterpiece because sometimes art it has a pretty big appraisal rating.
Yep.
Some pieces of art are charged a lot for that, what that other people don't see it as anything. So you might see yourself not as a lot, but other people might see this or that piece as valued a lot more to the team, a lot more to your performance.
Yeah.
And focusing on that can help us some. So there, like I said, a lot of different ways to attack it. But the first, like, I'd only give you one, two, maybe three exercises to work on for that
Yep.
week. Like, if I
Okay.
want you to go through on probably would have been those two without having like my notes to go look at of what else we could do.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that. Again, quick, actionable steps, and I
Yeah.
that do have long lasting impact. And again, ladies and gentlemen, Gabe Rummel of the Athlete's Health here to talk about that. Again, he will also be the prime premier speaker at the Strike Out the Stigma event, which I again urge you to go out there and take a part of. And I do got to ask here too, Gabe, when you take a look at an event like Strike Out the Stigma, I mean, one, it's got to feel good, from from your journey, knowing that we're finally at a better place. There's still a ways to go, ongoing, I should say. But what are your thoughts on the fact of Strike Out the Stigma, of using, I mean, something on a game that we love, or games that we love. Again, softball, baseball, and again, this can be applied to all other aspects. But when it comes to, what are your thoughts on just the Strikeout the Stigma event, and what it's doing and the impact it'll have? Now, again, I like asking that because you have seen it from this. You have seen the things. You have worked through a lot of struggles, and so I always like to ask the experts on what their thoughts are of the event, just to get everybody listening the real context behind it. That this is not just somebody that I happen to be interviewing. This is somebody with real life experience in it. So again, I ask, what are your thoughts on the impact of Strike Out the Stigma, or just the event in general?
Uh, I think it's great. And when I talk to like some other smaller schools around here that I
Mm-hmm.
have some connections with, or it just comes up in conversation, I meet them and they don't know about it. I'm like, oh, you don't know about this? Because it is truly so
Yeah.
cool. Because the thing about this mental game is people now maybe are aware of it,
Yep.
but a common thing that I am told over and over, like as I keep growing this business, to like be a mental gym to coach people on these mental exercises, the mechanics, is that yeah, they might know like to be more confident, they need to be more confident, or to not cry when they're getting struck out if they're sixth graders.
Yeah.
But the parents and the teams, the coaches, they don't know about like how to actually do it, that there's ways that we can actually do it.
Uh huh.
And I'll put an asterisk on that because once again, up to this point, the coaches who have reached out or that we've been in contact with and have worked with, they're the ones who do know it, and they're the early adopters. They're the one who know these things can help. And then the parents start to hear about it because the parents are like, well, coach, how do we get them to like be okay if this happens, or to actually support each other, or the list can go on the mental side of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't actually understand or know that there's a way to progress it that the pros use in every organization: MLB, NBA, WNBA, NFL. They all use it. College, down the street, the U of I, their baseball team uses this exact mental performance training stuff that we're bringing out to the youth level that can progress it,
Yep.
but they just don't know about it. They know a little bit, but they
Uh
don't
huh.
actually really know. And so that's why I think it's so cool because it brings all the resources together. Like I said, I'm not doing any counseling, any psychology,
Yep.
like being a psychologist or anything, but those resources are there for the ones who need to know about it more. And then there's a lot of other resources too that really just kind of bring it together for that whole totem pole. So it is just as much physical as coaches like DBAT all the way down to the doctors that may be specific in baseball performance and PT and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty nice. I think
I,
every sport should do it. So shout out to Riley and all the people who got it going a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, again, Riley, and again, people who are in the athletics world as well that know it too. I think that between everybody that's involved with that, yourself included, again, just legitimizes what not only what you're doing, but really the fact that mental health is something to strengthen. Again, like you were mentioning, it's something to strengthen, just as if you would anything physical, but. With this as well here as we start to wind down. Again, Gabe, appreciate all the time here. And again,
Yeah.
if anybody wants to check out, again, I urge you here, check out the athleteshealth.com. Great. It's so easy to work with. And again, the questions right there, anything regarding what there are, and help with teams, whether it's one-on-one here, Gabe. I mean, it really does seem, looking through it, there's a lot there. And and guys, I would also check out what other people are saying, what other people have said, There are comments that are very impactful here that make it work, and a great way to get involved. But as far as again the conversation itself, is there anything when it comes to here that we may have missed with this? I will say as an asterisk on that, because everybody get out to Prospect Meadows on Monday the 12th. You'll be able to catch Gabe give a far more than what he's given here, and just again more of a little bit of the same as well. But again, if there's anything that out there, again, make sure to check out the website, and you'll be able to catch it there. But in terms of anything else, Gabe, is have we? There's so much to cover, and I put it with an asterisk because, like you said, we could take 3 days to cover all the minute details. But anything in particular when it comes to what you'll be talking on coming the event, or anything that you wanted to hit up regarding events that are happening with your company, just a way to kind of get the shout out there. Or did I do a fantastic job to cover it all?
No, Andrew, you did pretty good. You hit a lot of points there. Um,
Appreciate it.
I will say I'm definitely piecing together a more thorough story for Strike Out the Stigma
Yep.
than this podcast, right? I mean, that's how it goes.
Oh
You
yeah.
got to do something like that. It's a little more pieced together. So we will kind of cover the whole shebang. A lot of what we covered here, but I will also give out some specific exercises from in the dugout to the batter's box to back.
Hmm.
Um, for hopefully them to use that night. Usually I
Yeah.
say use it at practice once or twice, got to get some of the bumps out of the mechanics before you start using the new pitch. But
Yep.
for that event, scrimmage, might as well do it. No,
Yeah.
but I'm picking up once it gets to a certain point, because obviously most teams, athletes work at night. I'll
Yep.
get some more coaches helping out with the business, and I know some people in line once it gets to that point. Because I know one or two businesses online that do this. I know maybe
Hmm.
one or two local people who are doing it, but just kind of for fun, kind of at small scale. But
Yep.
plan for the athlete's health with all of my mentors I've had and where it's going is to be the big coaching service for the mental side of the game, that mental gym for athletes to strengthen it up.
Yep.
And I guess just with that, the main things, as it'll be on the website, but this is kind of what I distill it down to. There's gonna be a lot of different things we can look at. I got like 13 core C's, core pillars, because 13's a unlucky number, but it's not for us.
There you go.
But clarity, you got to have a goal, and you got to know what's holding you back from going to get that goal.
Hmm.
Confidence on your way to get it, and then composure, because like we've even covered, there's always going to be something every day
Yep.
that can hold us back, that can be an addition to what's in our way. And we got to know how to handle it and stay cool, calm, collected. So that's really it. I got more, like, I'm been
Yeah.
invited to a few seminars, webinars to do some speaking, tell the story more. So
Love
for
it.
the school systems, for organizations, but it's just get out there and help more people. I think you covered a lot. You're pretty good at asking the
Woo.
right questions, driving the story on the call. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
think if you, I don't know. Do you have anything else for it, Andrew?
Well, man, I gotta say, just simply when it again, I don't want to give too much out, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to check out the event. And one thing, Gabe, I would ask that we get you on another time as well.
Okay.
Simply because we have a week like this where we highlight the events, but gosh, the I don't want to say it in a negative way, but the war rages on, right? The war against mental health will always rage on, I think, and I think that today's society, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but last thing, it does seem like as much connected as we are today. Athletes have all these things where got to get the video out to coaches, got to get out on social media, got to get it out here, got to get this out. It just seems like as connected as we are, maybe we shouldn't be as connected. And I don't know, maybe that's weird to say, but it seems like we don't have time for ourselves as much and time to reflect. And I think when talking with you, there's a lot of reflection that you have already done here with us. Uh, so again, I kind of think of it as, man, maybe we should step back a little bit and away from technology. But again, that reflection piece, just wanted to ask the importance of that for you and what that's done for your life, and how maybe we should, as just a society, step back of it. But again, how important has reflection been for you?
Yeah. First off, on like the social media side and everything, my like the online mentors who I've had to build that online business, they're
Yeah.
like, you spend a lot of your time commenting on other people's, do all that stuff on social. It may look like I'm on social media a lot because I post on it every day, but
Yep.
I post and I'm out. I don't even have
Okay.
notifications on. Uh, yeah, social media is something else for sure. It's the highlight reel, to say the least.
Yeah.
I try and post some of the behind the scenes stuff so people know it's not all butterflies.
Yep.
But the reflection piece is huge. Journaling,
Okay.
I just had a like featured blog post on this app called Brighton.
Ooh,
Because they're like a reflection, a journaling AI app. It's pretty cool.
nice.
Um, but the whole point I think of reflection is because yeah, you're all going, going, going,
Yeah.
but you have to see what is happening. You have to reflect and really like that's one of the big things on how we tie back to you've been having or you have not been having off days, but how we had the narrative that
Yep.
if you were having bad days, Andrew,
Hmm.
um, one of the other first things that we'll do, like you can't identify that dark side, what's eating at you, if you don't reflect and see
Yep.
what it is and where that can then take you.
Okay.
So I do like, and my friends too, because I'm fortunate to have good friends who are chasing after their dreams and what they're trying to do.
Yep.
We all, in different ways, reflect quite a lot, like probably every night or most days, just to see what was happening that day. And I'll leave this one for you. This is a quick reflection. I call it the three G's
Ooh,
that
okay.
I
Yeah.
usually give out. So,
I'm ready
um,
for this.
and I don't think I created this one either, but
Uh
I
huh.
don't remember who to give it credit to. It's if every night I'll put it on your mirror, whatever the case is, like what did you give for the day? If you
Okay.
gave to someone, you're probably doing something good.
Okay.
What did you do that was great for the day?
Hmm.
Okay, something great. If you did something great, you're improving, and that ties into how did you grow for the day. So it's what did you give? What did you do that was great? And how did you grow? That's reflection right there. That's journaling right there. But once again, those words sometimes have a stigmatized piece. So I just
Yeah.
think of it like reps, like there's more of a mental reps of how you're gonna get
Yeah.
better next time. So that's my case on that. Pretty important piece to the mental side of the game.
Well, that's a highlight reel
Pros use
in
it all the
itself.
time. Pros do it all the time. So
You're right.
they
You're right.
mess up a game, they're not thinking about anything else. They're reflecting on every little play that they could have done better. That's reflection. So it's whenever you do something, reflect and do it better the next time.
And absolutely love that. Again, that's a highlight reel kind of comment, a little snippet there in itself. Absolutely love that. But again, Gabe, I appreciate it. Last little thing, where can they go? We mentioned the website. How do they get in contact with you? What's the kind of the process that you look for when somebody wants to reach out and get your services?
Yeah. Website www.theathleteshealth.com has a lot of contact information on there. Otherwise, I got the Facebook, I got the TikTok. Facebook might be the athlete's health, but Instagram is kind of like the hub I go check a lot.
Okay.
It's just at Gabe Rummel, my first and last name, and then TAH, just straight that. But then yeah, if we're working together, I do like a one-off free workshop, so you can kind of test, you can see what it's like.
Okay.
Most of the time, they want to continue. Otherwise, work with the teams for their seasons. Athletes, we meet 30 minutes every week just on a call. If you're local, we can try to meet in person. I'm not opposed to it. I've done it in the past. And then we meet with the parent too once a month just to check in, see what's happening.
Yep.
And those are kind of the main things we do right now. I want to get
Perfect.
like a online gym community going, but
Yeah.
yeah, one step at a time as we keep doing it. So that's what I've learned through some of the people helping me. One thing at a time.
Man, one step at a time will get you out the door for sure. I'll get you going to great places. But Gabe, I appreciate it, man. Again, ladies and gentlemen, check out what Gabe's got going at the Athletes Health Online. Again, as we just mentioned. Plus, go ahead and there's a strike out the stigma. Again, 5:15. Be there. Gabe will be presenting a lot of good practical applications to walk away with, which again, what we talked about here. But he goes so far more in depth on that. Gabe, you might see me there. I will have to
Hope
be
so.
technically setting up for the broadcast, but I'll bring somebody there to do my dirty work, and then I'll make sure to join the conversation.
Good. Hit me up. I'll love to talk to you, Andrew. This was great. It's
Yeah,
nice to be on this side of the podcast. I'll get to
there
be
you
on
go.
mine sometime. Uh,
Yeah.
it's a nice change of pace to be not asking the questions all the time and just keep going. So cool. Yeah, I'll see you next week though.
Well, for sure. I can't wait to get there. And yeah, anytime. I haven't seen the other side of the glass very much either, so it'll be interesting. But hey, man, thanks again for taking the time. We'll see you there, and as always, appreciate your work. Now is I'm going to say sayonara, and I'm going to say please check out the Athlete's Health. You got to do so, especially if you're an athlete. Again, the stuff is right there, easy, user friendly, all that. But again, check out Strike Out the Sigma event on the 12th. Gabe will be there. I will be there, and a lot of great resources for you to use for sure. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to say thanks again to Mr. Hummel, Gabe Hummel, and the Athletes Health, and of course Nikki Freese and company, and everything in between, and you as well. And until we see each other next time, stay safe on the base pass. Thanks, guys.